Here on the show, we get to feature a lot of different business owners and a lot of different businesses, but I always love talking to people in the automotive industry for the primary reason is quite simple. There's so many different aspects of it, but let's please just know this. If you live here in the great state of Texas and you have a car in the summertime, you're going to want to pay attention to this guy. He does stuff for year-round, but in particularly in the summertime to keep you nice and comfortable and to keep your car looking as good as it can. The name of the business we're chatting with today is D&D Window Tint. Mr. D&D himself, Bob Bronson, my guest. Bob, welcome to the show, buddy. How are you?
Thank you, Brian.
You know, I was looking at the notes. You're one of those guys, you've always been into cars one way or another.
I have.
Not necessarily in the tinting side, but go back to Little Bob back in the day. Were you that guy?
Yeah, I got a job when I was 16 installing car stereos at the shop down the street. Worked there for a couple of years. Worked at another place for a year. And then I after I graduated high school, I went to work for a big corporate.
Mm-hmm.
In
doing car. I'm guessing when you started out, you probably weren't installing CD players, were you?
I actually have a picture from the first shop, and behind me it says 8 tracks, $49.
Yes. Remind me when we get off the air, because I'm not going to embarrass myself on my own show, but I've got a story of why everybody needs a Bob in their life, because I tried to put one in my car once. I'll share you.
There you go.
Off the air. All right. So you're doing the car install thing, so you have to be pretty good at it. You got to be good with your hands, obviously.
Sure.
And with people, because you're taking care of, next to a house, for most of us, our car is the most expensive thing we're going to own.
Exactly.
It's an extension of our personality.
And that.
And if you mess it up, we're not real happy.
Very mad.
So you did it a long time though, and you got really good at it. But then how did you jump going from the car thing to the window tinting?
You know, as an audio guy, I was installing an alarm, say once a month, twice a month. I took a job at a window tint store installing alarms.
Interesting.
And I'd say, okay, the week that I quit, I was sick of the place. I was averaging 7 alarms a day.
A day at the window tint store.
Yes.
Interesting.
And,
you know why though? Because you were really good at it.
That was part of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was overworked, underpaid.
Yeah.
6 days a week, way too many hours.
But
you were car audio led me to alarms.
Correct.
Alarms led me to window tint.
Mm-hmm.
The manager forced me to tint windows, even though I resisted.
But let me back up. He didn't force you. He realized, this guy, like we said earlier, this guy's good with his hands. He pays attention to detail. He's friendly with the customers. He's the type of guy we need. We are a window tinting place first and foremost.
Yes.
You're going to be a window tinter. So
Right.
You got into it and kind of liked it.
Yeah, I resisted the window tint, but yeah, eventually, yes.
And then you worked your way up. Was this the same place you worked your way up to become manager of, or did you move on to another one?
I moved on from there, and then I came to work here at D&D as the manager, and I made an agreement with the owner then that he would sell it to me. And he did 3.5 years later, and that was
That's
in
pretty quick.
1998.
1998, and you're still rolling right along.
Right.
I got to ask you this then. A guy that's been in that industry as long as you have, what type of changes have there been in the materials alone of what you were doing in 1998 versus what you do today?
Especially on the electronic side,
Sure.
I can't tell you how many great ideas I've seen that were absolute garbage.
Oops. Oops.
Sony's first in-dash CD player, every single one of them was defective. Every single one.
But it wasn't your fault.
No, it wasn't.
But the install looked really nice.
Yeah.
So, but even on the window tinting side of things, have those materials changed?
They absolutely have.
Yeah.
Window tint's been around a long time. At its most basic is clear polyester with glue and dye. That's it. Believe it or not, they still make that.
Okay.
And most of the window tint out there is that. In the 80s, a company figured out how to apply metal to it. Okay? Doesn't even make it shiny anymore, but having that layer of metal in there blocked twice as much heat.
Okay.
That was the state of the art since 85.
All right.
And about 6-7 years ago, they figured out how to put ceramic coatings in it. And the ceramic blocks infrared radiation, which is like your heater, space heater kind of thing, glows red. You feel the heat coming off of. That's radiant heat.
Gotcha.
By blocking infrared, we're blocking crazy amounts of heat.
Well, and as I mentioned at the start of the show, where are you located?
Right down the street,
right here in Texas,
East Avon.
so it's rather obvious that if I'm blocking the heat, it's keeping me cooler as a driver and or passenger. But there's benefits for the car itself too, right? For the interior.
Absolutely. By blocking UV on the opposite end of the spectrum, UV's the nasty stuff. It rots your interior, gives you sunburn, skin cancer, all kinds of bad stuff.
Right.
And even the most basic window tint will block UV. Not much heat, but it's blocking the UV, saving your interior.
So once I get it done, do I need to have it done again? Well, let me ask you this. Tip for a consumer, if you don't mind. You do a great job. You get it done. What can I do on my end to keep it looking good?
Well, number one, don't buy cheap tint.
Okay.
Cheap tint, there's some basic tint out there that barely lasts a year. I'm going to charge you to take that stuff off.
Right, and then charge me to put it back on again when I get the one I should have bought in the first place.
Where everything I carry has a lifetime warranty. The manufacturer actually pays us to replace it. So if you buy a good product, it's backed up by the manufacturer. Even if you move out of state, you just find that manufacturer to find who a dealer is where you move to.
And they're going to pay that dealer too?
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, it's paid work. They're not doing it out of the kindness of their heart.
We talked about how the products themselves have changed. Have customers changed over the years from when you first started to now?
They are a lot pickier than they used to be.
Okay.
A lot more informed, knowledgeable.
It's that internet thing. It wasn't around when you started. Yeah. But we are more informed, but we're also spending more money for our cars.
Absolutely.
And we want to keep up with it.
There are trucks over $100,000 now. That's a truck.
Yeah, for a pickup truck.
You're supposed to haul stuff with it.
Yeah, well, not that truck.
Not that one.
If you've got that truck, you're paying people to haul stuff in other
Absolutely.
trucks. You're that person. But at the end of the day, you're there to help us keep our prized possessions looking good, acting good, and to keep us comfortable.
Absolutely.
So how are you doing as far as on the workforce these days? You have people working with you? We hear the stories of business owners, how it's tough getting help these days. How are you doing?
It's always been to learn how to tint windows takes a apprenticeship of about 6 months.
Well, it's a trade.
Yeah, so it's not something that you can hire somebody off the street and just teach them. Half the time they can't even make it through the training. It's really difficult to learn. My number one tinter is married to my oldest son.
Okay.
I'd rather find a good person and teach him how to do it
than, there you go. Than to find a bad tinter and try to teach them how to do it the right way. They've already got the habits in place.
Lots of bad habits out there.
Lots of habits in place. Well, that's good to hear. That's a little refreshing, to be honest with you. But as far as for what you did COVID, did that impact your business?
Yeah, we've set records. We're doing great.
Going the other way, isn't that interesting?
I can't explain it except that more people are staying home. They're getting stimulus money. They're saving money by not driving to work, not spending money going out to lunch.
Well, they're also looking at the cost of new cars and realize, you know what, I'm going to spruce the one up that I already have.
And they have a little more time on their hands to do that.
Yeah. A little more time, and as you already mentioned, a little more money to do it as well.
Sure.
Strictly automotive, you don't do any home residential windows or anything?
I did it one time. It's difficult for me to leave, drive across town for a maybe when I have all the work I can do.
Well, all the work you can do, but all the work you've been doing very well for very long, even before you owned the place. So yes. I know the owners of D&D are proud of you for keeping their name alive and their business alive and their reputation alive.
Actually met the original owner.
That's neat.
8 years ago. Very nice guy.
Here you are carrying on the tradition right down the street from here. Well, thank you so much for everything you do. Thanks for coming in today. I mean, you're a busy man. I appreciate you taking the opportunity to do this and taking the time out of your day to share your story. It's a great one. We wish you continued success.
Thanks for
being here. Hey, folks, thank you for being here as always, too. Don't run off. We'll be right back on All